This is the 2022/2023 Kia EV6. You can see that it does say pre-owned there on the windshield because I borrowed this EV6 GT line from my friends at Orr BMW in Shreveport, Louisiana. But if you are planning to buy a 2023 EV6, well, if it's the GT line especially, this is exactly what you're going to get. Obviously, there are multiple exterior color options available. I don't know how this is going to show up on the screen, so hopefully you can see. It's not black, it's actually called gravity blue, so hopefully that shows up well as far as the actual color on the screen goes. This is a brand new model for the 2022 model year. It's compatible with the fastest DC fast chargers out there, so that's always good news. It's sleeker than a typical hatchback, and it's, well, not quite as large and bulky as an SUV, so really kind of a nice balance all the way through. One of the things about an EV is that it needs to be able to cheat the wind, and Kia, while not always known for having the most sleek vehicles on the road, they definitely pulled it off here. Why do you need sleek body lines like we have here? If you look at the overall look of the vehicle, it's not just for looks. It is here for purposeful aerodynamics in every way, shape, and form, including how the front end is designed, the way that when you look at everything here, it just looks like the air is already flowing over the vehicle with the way that the turn signal indicators are designed and kind of have that slant back look like that. The same thing with the headlight housings. You're going to have LED lights everywhere you look as well. Hopefully you can see the nice looking daytime running lights right here. Now they do look a little bit different from what we have up here as far as the design and contour go, but it's really meant to kind of look like it goes from here to here and the lines follow correctly. But the reason for these aerodynamic lines is to obviously help conserve the charge of the battery capacity for as long as possible. Now, one thing I do like that Kia has done here is what they've done with the overall design of the front grille. Again, kind of similar to what we saw with the headlights. You can see that some of the lines are straight diagonal here, 90 degrees, and then they start to kind of bend off just a little bit, and it kind of flows its way into that blinker housing right there, and to a great degree even into the daytime running lights right here, and design flowing up onto the hood. And I'll tell you what, I like what they did with the Kia logo right here. That just looks perfect. It looks like it fits on this vehicle, like it was made for that vehicle. So if you notice the contour of the hood and how you have the lines that have a little bit of a drop right here and then kind of starts to flatten back out but then works its way onto the fender right there, again, all for purposeful aerodynamics, as are those wheels right there. A very nice looking wheel. These are 235/55 tires, the 19-inch wheels. And the thing about that 55 series sidewall, this is the 55, this is the 265, so if you're wondering, but that 55 series sidewall is really important because that's going to contribute to very good ride quality. And while we're at it, we'll answer another commonly asked question. In fact, let's work our way over to the passenger side because it's just going to be easier to see. Are there turn signal indicators built into these side view mirrors? Absolutely. You know, you would expect that here. You're also going to have cameras built in there. There are quite a few cameras around this vehicle. You have the overhead 360-degree view as well. And speaking of cheating the wind, the air is going to flow over the top of the EV6. And while the rear roof spoiler looks very nice, it is also purposefully designed because having that air flow not only over the top here, but through this area right here is going to help to cheat the wind even more. Airflow will improve as it goes over this slanted rear window and over the rear spoiler here on the rear end. In fact, let's take a quick look here at what we have as far as our tail lights go. Mimicking the same thing we saw on the front, a very nice look as far as the overall design here goes. Kia doing a really good job here overall with what they've done with this EV6, a very racy looking vehicle. And speaking of racy, there are a couple of options for horsepower and torque. Let's talk about what those are. And while this GT line is making 320 horsepower, the torque numbers come in at 446. It's all-wheel drive and mated to a single speed automatic transmission. Basically, it's kind of like high gear only in a top fuel dragster or a funny car. That's why they are so quick to take off. And what about the mileage? On a single charge, you are supposed to be able to go from 274 miles up to 310, at least with this particular model. Now you might say to yourself, 320 horsepower is just not enough for me. Go with the GT version then. It makes 576 horsepower. It will do 0 to 60 in 3.4 seconds and has a top speed of 161 miles per hour. And something else that Kia has done here to again help with aerodynamics is you have the flush mounted door handles. And all you do is push in on the front like that to open the door handle. It's locked right now, so it's not going to open for me, but just so you can see how that works. That way, if you ever walk up to somebody's EV6 and they said, hey, go open it for me real quick, you'll know what to do. And in case you are curious to know what the remote looks like, here's what you have. It does have a remote start, as you can see right there. And then obviously you're going to have the, well, let me hit the button right here just so I can show you, but here it is, the power folding side view mirrors. For those of you who are wondering about that, they are power folding and they are heated as well. And let me make sure to unlock the interior, because there is one thing here that's really important to show. You might walk up to the vehicle if you've never owned one of these, or your friend says, hey, go get something out of my EV6 for me, and you're figuring out, well, how do you get these door handles to work? Well, then you figure it out by doing that. So you push forward on the front right there. That allows the door handle to pop out, and then you can open the door. Now, I don't expect anybody to say I need to tow something with my EV6, but if you wanted to and you needed to know how much you can tow, according to Kia, you can tow up to 2,300 pounds. And how about cargo capacity? You have a nice cargo area. It's carpeted back here. You've got some space underneath the floor if you need that. There's a few extra items right there as well. And you can lower these rear seats right here. I'm going to show you how to do that on both sides. 24.4 up to 50.5 cubic feet is what your cargo capacity is. And yes, of course, I'm going to show you what is in these two containers. On the left here, we have the charger. So this is what you're going to actually plug into the vehicle itself to charge. So you'll have the cable and everything to use for that. If you have a charger at home, that kind of thing. And right here, something that some of you may not like seeing, but it is typical of an EV because they typically don't come with spare tires. It is a tire repair kit. And here's something interesting about the connector. If you speak multiple languages, well, I guess you can just choose your language as far as the instructions go that come with this connector, and just use whatever you want. And in case you were curious, yes, this power rear door does have the button within, so you can push that and close it. And obviously, there's a button on the remote and within the interior as well. And since we are calling this the ultimate tour of the Kia EV6, there is something important I want to show you back here, just so you avoid frustration. You don't pull up on these seats to put the seat backs back in their upright position. You will actually pull up on this lever. Trust me, it does work that way, even though, well, it's kind of hard to show you one-handed. And the good thing about this lever, besides being able to put the seat backs into their upright position or to lower them, you can also do that there as well. You can see that they have a very nice recline capability to them. I have the right-hand side or passenger side in its full upright position. And here on the driver's side, or the left side of the vehicle, we have it reclined back as far as it will go. I may get in there and take a quick nap. Now, looking at the rear of the center console, you might say to yourself, there's no air conditioning vents and no connectivity options? Not there, but that doesn't mean they are not here. In fact, here is where you will find the air conditioning vents for the rear seat passengers on both sides, obviously. I don't know if I can get you as good of a view there because that seat is so far back, but there it is over there. And your USB connectivity is kind of in an unusual position, but it is here on the seats. On both sides, you've got one there and another one right here. It would maybe make more sense to have a third, at least right here, or all three. Since you have seating for 3 people back here, you do have the door bins right there, really more of a bottle holder than anything else for a large bottle of water or protein powder or pre-workout if you're taking your friends to the gym and zipping around town in the EV6. And there are additional options here for the armrest and for the cup holders as well. And if you're a door bin fanatic and you're saying to yourself those rear door bins are just not big enough, you better hurry up and call Shotgun or grab the remote and hop behind the driver's seat or into the driver's seat, because you have larger door bins here, a little bit larger, quite a bit of space in there. Obviously, you're going to have power driver and passenger seats here in the front. They are rather comfortable, and there is some decent bolstering here as well. So let's hop on inside here and take a look at exactly what we have as far as our overall design. Here's a fairly large glove box, and once again, it is a gloveless glove box. I never find gloves in these glove boxes, well, at least very rarely. And the overall look here, a nice, really modern look, I would say, with the dashboard as far as the way everything looks, the air conditioning vents, and the overall design. And then let's take a quick look here into the center console. Kind of hard to see because it is a little bit dark in here, but I'll put my hand down in there, try and give you an idea of how much depth there actually is in there. Quite a bit of space, and we do our bottle test here as well. There is a lot of room left for a larger bottle than this water bottle that I have today, but that's what I have, so that's what I'm able to show you. Now let's hop over and take a look at the real business end of things from the driver's perspective. And looking in through the driver's side door, obviously you're going to find a few more features and functionality here on the driver's side door. I don't have to tell you too much about what those are. You do have seat memory right here, 2 different settings for that, and I like how the door is integrated into this piece right here. It doesn't just disappear off. I think that really looks nice, gives it a nice finish. And then you're going to notice some buttons up here, one of which I told you there is multiple options for opening and closing that rear lift gate. And you can push this button to open your charging port if you want to, or let's go back here. This is a good little segue to show you how this works. You don't have to push that button to open the charge port. You can just do this and it's going to open right up, and you can see what all is there. Pretty easy to use and figure out. Then when you're finished up charging, well, you push this button right here and it closes everything back up. Just so you can hear everything and see what happens when it comes up, I just wanted to make sure you had a good earful of that. And you can see how far we can drive on this particular model as far as the remaining charge goes, how much capacity we have. A nice looking modern instrument cluster, and I don't know how well you can see, but everything is kind of curved. It comes in curves right here in the middle, making sure everything is facing the driver. Very driver oriented here, that's for sure. And something that I really like is the fact when you turn your blinkers on, this is why you want to use your blinkers. There's the right side, and then we go and turn on the left blinker, and there is the left side. So you're going to have those blind spot indicators or monitors, basically the cameras showing you what's in your blind spot. That is a great reason to use your blinkers for those of you who don't. And obviously these are not shifter paddles. That's how you're going to control your regenerative braking, and how that actually performs. Pretty easy to figure out if you're used to these EVs. And then controls on the steering wheel, your steering wheel mounted controls over here on the right hand side. Obviously that is for the front and rear window wipers. By the way, this is a tilt and telescopically adjustable steering wheel. You already saw the button to start and stop power on the vehicle. And then here we go with the infotainment screen. Obviously there is a lot going on here. You've got your built-in navigation. That makes things nice and easy. And so many different apps here to do so many different things. Everything you could possibly need, it's all here. And it's very easy to use, that's for sure. So not difficult at all. I will go into reverse and show you what I have as far as the camera views go, so you can see all of that. You do have a front camera as well on the vehicle, and as you can see, if you need to zoom in, you can zoom in or zoom out. You only have one setting for that, or really 2, I guess. You can zoom in one time or zoom out one time, but there that is, makes things so easy to do. It just really helps you out, and you do have multiple camera angles, as you can see right here. So that definitely makes a nice difference on things, makes things so much easier. You can take a look all the way around the vehicle. Now, it doesn't have the same color on it as your vehicle might, unless it's white like that one right there, but it does give you a nice surround view and all that good stuff. It's all here, it's all easy. And speaking of going in and out of reverse, here is your shifter. It is a rotary dial gear selector, basically, or drive selector, because like I said, it's really one speed, a single speed, and that's all you have. Now, you do have the controls here for your air conditioning. You do have the dual zone climate control. You can sync those together if you want to. And you have heated and ventilated seats. Always a plus in a climate like we have here in Northwest Louisiana, where typically we need ventilated far more often than we need the heated seats. There's your power parking brake, auto hold. Pretty easy to figure out here. Here is where you're going to have your wireless charging pad. In fact, give me just a second here. Let me see if I can do this. Here we go. We will put my phone down there and you can see that come to life and see that it is indeed charging. Now, the only thing that we really have left to do is to get out on the road and do a test drive. Let's see how that goes. By the way, you'll notice that I'm in reverse right now, and I don't know that I can show all of this in one shot. It might be kind of hard. Let's see if we can do this here. But if I push the button to shut everything down, it's automatically going to put the transmission back into park. And one more thing here, when you push the button, just like you had some of those tones and sounds when you hopped in and pushed the button to start everything up, you also get that when you get out of the vehicle. Let's hit the button and let you listen. And by the way, let's talk warranty and charging time. You have a warranty for the battery of 120 months or 100,000 miles. And on a fast 800 volt DC charger, the battery can go from 10% to 80% in under 18 minutes. That's pretty impressive. The 11 kilowatt level 2 charger will go from 10% to 100% in 7 hours and 10 minutes. So, how quick is this EV even at 320 horsepower? Well, let's find out. It gets down the road decently well. It definitely gets up to speed somewhat quickly. But like I said before, if this 320 horsepower is not enough for you, well, obviously you have the option of 576. And I apologize for the view today. Unfortunately, this model did not have any type of a sunroof for us to use, so that meant I had to give you the next best angle. And I didn't think you wanted to look out of the windshield the whole time, so I decided to mount the camera where it is today. Just one of those things. So what is the overall driving experience like? Well, it's comfortable, I'll say that. The seats themselves are pretty comfortable. The bolstering isn't quite as tight as I would like, but then again, this really isn't meant to be a high performance model. So we'll have to see if we can get our hands on a EV6 GT sometime, and maybe the bolstering's a little bit tighter there. It just fits in a high performance situation, obviously. But the steering is nice and responsive. I'd call it very smooth. It's not quite sports car tight, but it's not far from it. Not necessarily intended to be, but I'll tell you what, it definitely is nimble and very easy to drive, very enjoyable to drive, that's for sure. And you do have quite a few interesting sounds coming into the interior because obviously it's an EV, so you're going to have different chimes for the exterior depending on where you are, if you're driving forward or if you're in reverse or whatever it is. So people around you can obviously hear you with those things. But overall, a very enjoyable vehicle to drive. And one thing that I did notice here, I was concerned that with that rear window being as sloped as it is, and it is somewhat narrow, that it would be difficult to see out of with the rear view mirror. Not at all. It's perfect. At least it is for me. I'm 5'10" and just adjusted the seat to a position where I was comfortable, and I can see perfectly fine out of that rear window with no problem. Everything here easy to use, easy to get used to if you've never had this kind of technology before. And even though I got on it the one little time back there, I haven't used up hardly any charge capacity with the battery, so it still has plenty of life left in it for this particular charge, and we could go 227 miles at the moment. So I'm curious for your feedback. If you are in the market for an EV, have you considered a Kia EV6? If not, what have you considered? In fact, you might say to yourself, wow, I'd like to buy that exact model in the video. Check out the link down in the description of the video. It will take you to the BMW website where they are selling this 2022 pre-owned model. It has a little over 10,000 miles on it, and you can learn all about it. If you click on that link and it doesn't take you to this vehicle, that means it has been sold. So in case you were curious. And speaking of BMW, Gotta say a special thanks to my friends at the dealership for loaning me this EV6 for the day. And of course, a special thank you to all of you for being kind enough to give me the opportunity to give you a vision for your next vehicle. If you want to learn about other vehicles you may wish to consider purchasing, check out the video that's on the screen right now, and I'll see you there.